Hey, so I'm going to start going over all of the buttons on your GLE 580. First, we'll start on the exterior of the vehicle. We do have two sets of keys. They are identical, so neither one's a primary nor a secondary. If we look here, clearly labeled, we have a lock button and an unlock button. Right now I have it set up where when you press the lock button, it'll actually fold the mirrors in, and when you press the unlock button, the mirrors will fold out. Kind of a visual cue for you to see if your vehicle's locked or not. Also on the key fob itself, we have this red triangle, which is going to be the panic button. It'll make the lights flash and honk the horn. And if we press and hold on this button back here, we will have the rear hatch open. So that's going to be the summary for the key. Now that we're back here, we'll go over the trunk mechanics. So it does have the electric closed trunk. So we have the two buttons, the lock so we can lock the height, and we also have the left button, which is to close the trunk. So we can do that to close the trunk. If we look underneath here, we're gonna have this handle right here to open up the trunk. So we can do that, or it does have the kick to open function. So as long as we have the key in our pocket, purse, jacket, as long as it's within the vicinity of the trunk, we'll be able to use the kick to open function. So kind of my rule of thumb here, we have these parking sensors, those two little dots. You're going to want to do a swift kick motion in between those two dots. And again, we have to have the key on us and the vehicle has to be off. So if we do a swift kick motion and step back to make sure the trunk doesn't hit us, that's going to open up the trunk. We can do that for both opening and for closing. So just a swift kick motion, don't have to actually kick the vehicle. It has the sensors under there for you to show that. Moving on to the right side of the vehicle, that's actually where our gas tank is going to be located. It's real easy to open up. All we do is press on the left-hand side of the vehicle and it will open up as such. To get the actual gas tank open, we're just going to do one 90-degree turn counterclockwise. We do that, we can take it right out. There's going to be a little receptacle that we can put right in there so it doesn't scratch up the bottom part of your vehicle. Then to put it back, all we do is put it back on the top and a quick 90 degrees clockwise to lock it. If we press on this to shut it. Now if you ever have troubles getting that open, make sure the vehicle's unlocked, because if I lock the vehicle, no longer am I going to be able to get in here, just for a safety precaution. So if you're ever wondering why it's not opening, just make sure the vehicle is unlocked and it will open right up for you. Moving from the right side of the vehicle all the way to the front, going to go over a couple things here. I get a lot of questions what this little etched out plastic cover is. If we actually take that out, that's going to be where we can insert a tow hitch in case your vehicle is stuck in a snowbank and needs to tug out. There's a tow hook where the spare tire is. You can actually take that piece off, put the tow hook in there. If we look at all these little dots, those are all going to be parking sensors on the front. So in case you get a warning message saying the parking sensors are disabled, more often than not, it's because those sensors are dirty. Now talking on the same hand as that, our front logo, the beautiful Mercedes-Benz logo, as you can kind of see, it is flat, kind of curved there, but it's a nice flat surface. That's actually the radar for our adaptive cruise control. So the radar that shows how close or far away you are from the car ahead of you when using cruise control. Again, if it ever says, adaptive cruise control not, functioning, more often than not, you have snow built up on there, maybe some bug splatter. That's the only thing to keep an eye out on that side. Now moving over to the left-hand side of the vehicle, we went over the lock and unlock functions, but for the keyless entry, this can stay in your pocket, purse, jacket, whatever the case. We're gonna see on every single door handle that little dimple on the door handle. That's going to be for our keyless entry. So if we put this just in our pocket to lock the vehicle, all I do is press right on that dimple. It's just touch sensitive. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be skin like a touchscreen on a phone or anything, you can hit it with your glove. I've put my hip into it sometimes if I have my hands full. You can actually just press that. That's going to lock the vehicle. Now to unlock it, instead of the sensor being on the outside of the door cap, it's going to be on the inside. So a real natural motion, that's going to unlock our vehicle. So again, lock and unlock is going to be real like that, and open it up. Now moving from the left side of the vehicle into the vehicle, I'm going to go over some buttons. So the main buttons up here, that's going to be our seat adjustment. So if I want, you can kind of see how this looks like a seat. If I want to move my seat forward, all I do is press that forward. You can see the seat's moving. I can go move the seat up in the back, down in the back, up in the front, down in the front. This button is to lean my seat forward or back, and this headrest, you can move this down or up for different height adjustments on the headrest. Now this little button right here, if I press on that, you can see that moves forward a little bit. I'm going to try and give you a visual. The seat actually moves out, so you can see it retract in there. So it gives it kind of more of a couch feel, you know, if you wish. These buttons up here, if I press this first one, that's going to be my heated seat. Second one's going to be ventilated seats or cooled seats. Then this button with an R, if I press this, it'll illuminate red. Now if I do the heated seat, cooled seat, or any seat adjustments, it'll actually adjust for the right side. That's what the R stands for. So in case you need to move a seat forward, someone's jumping in the back seat, or if you want to play a prank on your significant other sitting in the passenger side on a hot day, you can press the R button, press the heated seat button, and turn their heated seat on. Whatever the case you want to do. Down here by the door handle, we have clearly labeled unlock and lock buttons. Then we have one touch down windows over here. This is going to lock our rear windows in case we have any pets, small children, things we don't want utilizing the windows in the back. And then last but not least, these buttons are going to be to adjust our mirrors. So if I press this left button here, this will illuminate red. Then I just use these arrows to adjust the left mirror. Again, if I press the right button, it'll illuminate red. Use the arrows to adjust the right mirror. Then the button on the middle will actually just fold your mirrors in. So once we have that, our seat, and then our steering wheel, which can be adjusted by this little joystick, it can go up, down, in, or out. Once we utilize or get all those into position, steering wheel, seat, and mirrors, we press the M button to save a memory seat, and then whichever button we want to set. So M1, you're going to hear a tone, and that means it's saved. You can override those memory presets as many times as you need. Now moving into the cabin, if we look on the left-hand side here, we're going to see our light adjustments. Most people just keep that in auto. They're auto on and off, and day, nighttime, and rain sensing. This left button with the P, that's going to be our electronic parking brake. So you can engage it by pulling on it, and then disengage it by pressing your foot on the brake, and then pressing on it. This little toggle will actually change the brightness of the screens itself, more noticeable in the nighttime in case you don't want the bright, screens illuminating the cabin. The left stock on the steering wheel, by the steering wheel, we have this nice silver line that doesn't look like it lines up. So if we move it to make it line up, our windshield wipers are going to cycle once. That's going to be our rain sensing wipers. We can see it has those 3 little dots just above it. There are 4 little dots. That's just a more sensitive rain sensing wiper. Then we have constant on and constant on faster. So on my vehicle, I just keep it in that rain sensing position unless I'm in a car wash. Then I just deactivate it by pushing it all the way down. This is going to be to engage our rear wipers, and this is to spray our rear wipers. To spray our front washer, we're going to press this silver button on the end of the stock. So again, rain sensing wipers completely off. This is how we spray that. On the left-hand side of the steering wheel, we have the top buttons, or these 2, which will control our center screen here. And then this button right here, along with all on the bottom, are going to be our cruise control buttons. So going from top to bottom, we have this back and home button, which if we press this, we're going to see different menu systems pop up. Now, this little black box, we can actually swipe our finger left to right, kind of like an old BlackBerry phone, to see different driving data. So instead of different trip information, I can have radio information. So if I click down on the black box there, now we can see what radio is playing. Again, if I press the home button and swipe over, we can have the more trip data, and now we're going to see that red dot with gray dots beneath it. We can swipe up and down to have different data show in the middle. So feel free to play around with that and customize it as such. The top right button over here is going to turn on or off our cruise control, so basically make it able to use or disable it. This left hand side, if we toggle this up, that's going to resume our cruise control if we had it canceled. To cancel it, we can either hit our foot on the brake or press the CN/CL button down to cancel it. To set our cruise control, we can press this up or down. Then once we have it set, let's say we have it set at 55 miles an hour and we want to go to 56, I just do a soft press like that. But if you can kind of see, it has a second stage to it. The second stage brings it up to the next fifth increment. So if you're at 55, it brings you to 60, 65, and so on. And then on this side, we can press this up to minimize our distance for the adaptive cruise control to the car ahead of us, and we can press this down to maximize our distance, and you'll see a display on the screen there. Then the right hand side of the steering wheel is going to mainly focus on the center console screen. So we're going to see this home button, another touchpad, then this back button. We also, on the center touchpad, see the home button and the back button. And then on our touch screen, we're going to see the home button, and if we're in a certain menu system, we can sometimes see the back button as well. So if I go into here, we can see like this back button. So very common used themes throughout the vehicle. It's just very versatile, whether you like to use the touch screen, this touch pad, which is kind of like a mouse pad, or this right hand screen, which is again going to be that little black touchpad. You can utilize whichever one. So the home button, we're just going to bring us just back to this main home screen where we'll see our navigation, phone, radio. We can swipe left and right to see different data in the center there. With also on the right hand side of the vehicle, we have this volume knob up and down. We can click it for a quick mute. Left hand side, we can press this up for voice activations, press this down for favorites on our menu system. And then the right hand side, we have press up for answer a phone call and press down to decline or hang up a phone call. On the center touchpad, again with the home back button, we can also use this button right here to switch tracks if we're playing phone or media off our phones or such. Left hand side, we have this also dynamic select. So if we click, toggle this up or down, we're going to see on the main screen, we can see eco, comfort, sport, so different driving modes. Eco's going to try and get us the best fuel economy, comfort's going to make it the most comfortable, and sport's going to give it the most performance, so change the shift pattern and so on. And then these buttons on the side, we'll notice we have navigation, map, radio, media, telephone, this little video button, or the video button, and the car button. Those are just hotkeys to get to different menu systems. So we can see like navigation, radio, media, radio, and media. So if you don't like using the touch screen or the touchpad, you could just use those hotkeys to get to each menu. On to the touch screen in general here. So our first kind of, I like to call them almost apps. They look like an app on your phone. If we click the phone one, we can have two phones paired at the same time. You can see 1 and 2. Since we haven't had a phone paired to this device before, what you're going to do is hit connect device, and then on your phone, all you have to do is, if you have an Apple, click on settings, then click on your Bluetooth, and you should see a Mercedes-Benz. It should say MB and then some numbers after that to hook up to Bluetooth. If you have an Android device, if you hit settings, then click on connections, then click on Bluetooth, you'll be able to pair your phone that way as well. Once your phone is paired, you can utilize it by, if someone calls you, you can use the answer button on the wheel, There'll also be an answer button on the touchscreen that you can interact with. You can talk to them wirelessly. You have the speaker and the microphone, so it'll just display or have the audio through the car. If you choose to hook your phone up through Apple CarPlay, which is similar to Bluetooth but a little bit different, we're gonna, right up here, we have two USB-C slots. On the left one where you see that tablet and that phone icon, that's the one we have to tap into to utilize the Apple CarPlay. So the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto in that sense will be able to display your phone kind of on the screen, whether it's your navigation, your phone to make phone calls like Bluetooth, or utilize voice text messaging, which is another perk of the Apple CarPlay. If we move over to the navigation, if we click on that, easiest way to interact with this is we can either press this search button in the bottom left, then enter in any point of interest or certain addresses, whatever the case. But what I like to do is I like to actually press up on this voice button, and then it'll prompt to have you speak, or at any point you can say the word Mercedes is the word. If you say "Hey Mercedes," it'll pop up just like that. I tried not to get that active for us, but it'll, if you say that word in tandem, you can utilize that for anything. You can ask it to call someone off of your phone, enter in an address. You can ask it who won the World Series in 1978. The vehicle is super smart. It's a voice learning technology and always improving, so it's pretty impressive. But that's what I like to do to enter in an address. But if you feel more comfortable typing it through, you can do that as well. On the radio, if we click on here, we have XM, AM, and FM, so easy enough. We can just click over to XM. Let's say channel 10 is our favorite channel in the whole wide world. If we want to set a preset for that, all we have to do is press and hold on this one button here, and now it's shot right down there. If I have FM 101.9, that's my favorite, I can just tap it, and there it goes right there. Now let's say I want to delete those. All I have to do is press and hold, and then we have move, delete, or set as favorite. So I can delete that. If you did notice, I had an XM station and an FM station on the same preset line, so you don't have to go back and forth between the different bands to figure out what your favorite stations are. Once you have them set, and you can set a whole mess load of them. Once you have them set, you can just utilize that favorites bar to get to the ones you really enjoy. If we go over to media, that's going to be media through your phone. So you can, if you have your phone hooked up to Bluetooth, you can have music, podcasts, audiobooks, any kind of audio coming from your phone. You can display it through the media there. The comfort tab up here has a couple different functions. We have seat comfort and ambient lighting. So I will talk about that in just a second. So back on the comfort tab with the seat comfort and ambient lighting, we have seat kinetics here. Seat kinetics, we're going to see these two little play buttons on either side of the vehicle. If I press this play button, what's going to happen, it's really hard to show you, but you'll have to play around with yourself. It'll make small adjustments to the seat bottom and seat backrest. The idea is it makes small adjustments, so if you have a long car ride, it kind of forces you to move a little bit so you're a little bit less tense at the end of the car ride. Hopefully it makes it a little bit more comfortable for you. We can also have seat heating balance, a little bit easier to describe. Let's say just our back is hurting. When we turn on the heated seat, if we move this all the way to the top, which is back, it'll just put heat on your back. Just the opposite, if you want to do it all the way down, it'll just put heat on your butt. And then in the middle, we have both as well. The ambient lighting, we can change the color and the brightness. So here, a little bit to explain here, the multicolor, do you see that little yellow kind of rectangle that's filled in here? If we unclick that, you'll see it's grayed out. So the multicolor, if it's not optioned, then we just have a color wheel. I'll try and focus on here real quick. Technically, we have 64 different colors that we can display throughout the vehicle. So it's on the door, underneath the footwells, on our handrails, and such. So if we wanted to do red, we can see it all move over at once. What the multicolor does is we'll actually see different presets. We'll see kind of a preview. So this is going to be different shades of blue. The red moon's a good exhibit. So we can see there's red down here, but then there's blue up there, blue on the doors, blue in the door handle. But as we go, we're seeing that we're switching over to kind of a pink. That's what the multicolor animation does. So the animation actually makes it flow throughout the vehicle and have different kind of views as it goes. What the welcome lights are is when we open up the door, the lights turn on. So it's kind of a nice little welcome into the car. It looks super cool at night. And then the climate, if we actually, when the car's on, if I turn up, you'll see it turns red real quick on the side that you turn the temperature up. If you turn it down, turns blue. Going from the comfort tab over to the information tab, this one we can have all sorts of different information. I won't bore you to death and go through every single bit, but we can see instant horsepower and torque outputs of the vehicle. We can see instant fuel consumption of our past. For driving off-road, we can see our off-road score. We can utilize our operator's manual through the actual screen here in case you don't have it in the vehicle. The Mercedes Me app, that's going to be the app that allows you to remote start, stop, lock, and unlock your vehicle. We'll make sure that gets all set up. That comes free with every single Mercedes-Benz for the first 3 years of ownership. Like I said, you can start and stop your vehicle, you can lock, unlock it, vehicle locate, and a bunch of other features. And that does come standard with every single Mercedes-Benz.